the WNBA and Players Association to continue to negotiate in good faith. So this news in itself kind of doesn't change anything. Basically what's going to happen is the players in the league are going to continue doing what they've been doing. If they made another extension for another 30 days or another 2 weeks or another whatever, it honestly doesn't matter. Until there's a lockout or a strike or an agreement is made, like those are the only times that something really changes in what is currently happening at the moment. And Breanna Stewart actually alluded to this.
They never wanted this to come out. This was meant to stay behind closed doors, buried in private emails and sealed inside confidential calls, with no cameras, no microphones, and no fans watching. But once the information leaked, there was no stopping what followed. This wasn't a rumor about trades, rotations, or even money. According to multiple insiders, it was about quietly cutting 5 of the biggest names tied to the WNBA's 2026 plans. The decision, they say, had already been made. No warning, no public discussion, just one sentence repeated behind the scenes. Kathy made the decision. And if this sounds like routine league drama, it's not. What's unfolding now explains why players are furious, why locker rooms are boiling, and why the WNBA is staring down one of the most explosive internal moments in its history.
Crazy that we haven't heard anything about the stuff that the WNBA is already missing, the stuff that the WNBA is already behind on when you talk about the offseason timeline. Last year, by this point in time, we have gotten a full 2025 WNBA schedule, and we have also had the expansion draft for the Golden State Valkyries. This year in the WNBA, there are 2 expansion teams that they need to do a draft for. We have no clue about the season schedule, and everybody has just been super quiet about it. Why isn't the media asking about these things? Why is there no date for the expansion?
What makes this even crazier is how quiet everything has been about what the WNBA is already falling behind on. By this point last year, the league had released a full 2025 schedule and already completed the Golden State Valkyries expansion draft. This year, there are 2 expansion teams that still need drafts, yet there's no schedule, no dates, and no real answers, just silence. Why isn't the media pressing the league on this? Why is no one asking why the expansion draft hasn't been announced? That silence didn't start loudly. It began with late-night calls, emergency meetings, and executives speaking in half sentences until a fragment of an internal conversation leaked, just enough to set everything on fire. The message didn't say review, evaluation, or discussion. It said cut. 5 players removed from long-term planning, erased from the league's 2026 vision. Once those words reached the wrong phones, the WNBA completely lost control of the narrative. Agents reacted first, phones buzzing nonstop as players called each other asking the same question. Is this real? Within hours, the rumors spilled from private chats to social media and into the mainstream. The league issued no statement, and that silence only made things worse, because it confirmed something major had happened. Insiders say the decision wasn't voted on, publicly debated, or shared with player representatives in advance. It came from the very top. That's what sparked the outrage. Veteran players felt blindsided, some learning through whispers, others seeing screenshots before hearing a word from the league. One source described the mood in multiple locker rooms as ice cold. Another called it betrayal, because the names being whispered weren't just any players. They were champions. They were leaders. They were faces of the league.
It was like nearly mid-30s. And it says it resulted in 700 million losses over the course of the deal. The union believe that projection is false. Just putting it out there, if it was only 700 millions of losses, this deal would be signed already. And you might be saying, what does that mean? If it was only the owners signing off on this, this would be signed already. Because you might be saying, oh, WNBA owners don't want to lose money. 700 millions of dollars of losses. There will be, by the end of this deal, there will be 20 WNBA teams. That is $35 million per WNBA team over the course of, I think, 7 years. That is $5 million a year lost per team, while franchise values are
Ryan Stewart's name surfaced first, and that alone sent shockwaves through the league. Then came Chelsea Gray, followed by Alyssa Thomas, Jewel Lloyd, and Kelsey Plum, each name adding more fuel to the fire. Fans refused to believe it. Players didn't want to accept it. But the consistency of the whispers made one thing clear. This wasn't random noise. Then the biggest question hit, like a thunderbolt. If this could happen to them, who's next? Some began asking about Aya Wilson. Others mentioned Angel Reese. There were no confirmations, no denials, only more silence. Behind the scenes, emotions boiled over. Players weren't just angry, they felt insulted. One insider, said a veteran, remarked, "They built this league on our backs, and now they're cutting us like numbers on a spreadsheet." Another added, "This feels like punishment, not progress."
As for what Engelbert is alleged to have said to Collier, if she actually suggested Caitlin Clark should be grateful for what she makes off the court, that's preposterous. Did you miss the Iowa years? Clark is the Tiger Woods tide that lifts all boats. And we know this show is proof. The highest rating we have ever had followed one of her games at Iowa. The WNBA has benefited from her presence more than the other way around, even though this year for Caitlin Clark was essentially lost to injury. But it's a league that's at a flashpoint. According to Sportico, franchise valuations have soared. Players want more money, and the CBA expires at the end of this month. This was a whole lot more than just a shot across the bow. The WNBA finals begin this Friday, and we typically hear from Adam Silver on the eve of the NBA finals. Kathy Engelbert is...
The frustration was never about being replaced. It was about how it was done. No respect, no transparency, no conversation. Just quiet decisions that were leaked loudly after the fact. As the outrage grew, league offices reportedly shifted into full damage control mode, with emergency calls, lawyers brought in, and PR teams rewriting statements again and again, searching for words that wouldn't make things worse. But the damage was already done. Fans started questioning everything. Why now? Why these players? Why in secret? People close to the situation say this decision wasn't about on-court performance at all. It was about structure, money, contracts, long-term flexibility, and a reset aimed at 2026. Sources claim the league wants a new image moving forward, younger faces, different marketing priorities, tighter control over future spending. But that explanation only fueled the anger, because to players, the message sounded brutally simple: you're expendable. And once that message spreads, trust disappears. Some insiders say players are already discussing how to respond. Not publicly, not officially, but in private meetings, quiet planning sessions, and by watching every move the league makes next.
Association is making sure that the players have somewhere to work out, but to me, I just feel like this is preparing for possibly the worst. And a lot of people are saying, like, it's fine, the season doesn't start until May, they still have plenty of time, they can still get a deal done. You guys, they don't have a lot of time. There's a lot of things to do during the offseason, and we've also seen, like, I'm sorry to just be blunt about this, we've seen how the WNBA runs. It's not always the most organized organization. Like, they need the extra time. They need the free agency period to get the player signed. They need to do this expansion draft. They need to do the literal WNBA draft. And I thought it was so interesting because the Toronto Tempo tweeted this. They said, "Big things coming your way. A glimpse into our 2026." And it says a snapshot of the year ahead. Schedule release. That should have been done in December. The schedule is normally released in December. WNBA expansion draft. The WNBA expansion draft was done last year, or 2024, I guess, in December of 2024.
Because this was never just about 5 names. It was about power. Who really controls the league? Who gets a voice? And who could be erased without warning? The longer the WNBA stays silent, the louder those questions become. Sponsors are reportedly paying attention. Media figures are circling, and former players are beginning to speak out in carefully coded language. Everyone can feel it. Something has shifted. Insiders warn that if this decision stands, it could permanently change the relationship between players and the league. Because once stars believe loyalty doesn't matter, everything changes. Negotiation, commitment, and the future itself. Right now, the WNBA is standing at a crossroads. Double down or step back. Reverse course or risk long-term fallout. No matter what happens next, one thing is already clear. This leak exposed cracks that were never meant to be seen. And the anger surrounding it isn't fading. It's growing. So now the question is yours. Was this a necessary reset or a disastrous mistake? Should the league explain itself or stick to silence? If you believe players deserve respect, like this video, drop your take in the comments and subscribe, because the story is far from over and the next move could be even bigger.